Kansas in December 1972, well documented about the tragedy. And then 1973. I mean, all that has gone on 1973. 17 years. Judiciary Committee, Senate Foreign Relations, 5 justices, it's leadership periods. He's ran for president more than once, in which, and now he leaves, great grandparents, right? Recently, a great granddaughter. Again, I can't imagine what's going on in their mind, but some reflection about all the inaugurations they've attended.
Quite a few, I would imagine.
Oh. I'm not sure for Senator Biden what President Carter was.
And then Vice President Vance and his wife, Usha Vance. She's wearing the pink, walking over with Vice President Harris.
That helicopter looks a long way away. This VH-92A, there's a new fleet of helicopters being used in this. 78 feet in length. 78 feet in length. For those that are not familiar with this side of the Capitol in terms of what is new, those 2 skylights are on top of, relatively speaking, in 2008, the Capitol Visitor Center. That plaza, those bricks will be put when the helicopter ascends.
Okay, and I believe there goes now former Vice President Harris and
the
motorcade. And now we should see the next group walking towards the helicopter. Yep, there they go.
The wind.
Yeah.
Mrs. Trump making certain. I imagine there's more than a fastener attached to that hat.
Bobby pins galore, holding that hat to her head. Yes.
You never stop serving. You never in your country. And we don't know what the next phase will be for the Harrises and Bidens, but rest assured, you never stop serving. I would say that was an affectionate exchange.
Right. Now the former president getting inside the helicopter, and we should be able to watch it take off.
Look at the crowds on the Library of Congress Supreme Court side. This is really something to witness for those that are nearby. Marine One.
And we sometimes see it working in Washington. We sometimes see it bringing the president back and forth to the White House. It's always a sight to see. Certainly for visitors, it's exciting.
Why do I think a trivia question is coming about?
You never know. It could be coming.
Vice President Vance.
Waving goodbye. We'll go back into the Capitol building for more parts of the ceremonies, or parts of the ceremony. We have a couple of more things before he goes back to the White
That's urban luncheon's going quickly, I think. Breakfast seemed long ago. In between that was everything, right? A prayer service. Or maybe it's just me.
Well, they definitely have a 3-course meal waiting for them in a few minutes. So here we go.
The recognizable white top of Marine One. Yeah, we've lost. I can't hear. The direct route to Andrews Air Force Base, named after Lieutenant General Frank Maxwell Andrews. Graduated West Point 19, served in the military in 1946. We often hear of Andrews, Frank Andrews. He was a Lieutenant General in the Army Air Corps.
So I think maybe it is time now for a trivia question.
Oh,
You ready?
sock it to me.
Who was the first president to depart the inaugural ceremonies by helicopter? Here's your choices: Ford, Reagan, Kennedy, Carter.
President Gerald Rudolph Ford.
That is correct.
I once heard him speak to an entire elementary school in Kentucky, yes, in 5th grade. And, of course, I wanted to ask a question. Do you think they allowed that to happen?
No.
No, they didn't.
No,
You're
they
right.
didn't.
Not that I'm bitter about it. 1970, never mind.
So I think now we're going to watch a little video about the signing ceremony that's going to happen next, a little history of this event. So let's watch.
The first official actions taken by the newly sworn President of the United States in the President's room just off the Senate. After the departure of the former President and First Lady, the new President gathers there with aides and members of Congress to sign nominations and sometimes more executive orders. This tradition began in 1981 with President Ronald Reagan. Prior to that time, nominations were often submitted to the Senate on Inauguration Day without ceremony.
Okay, we'll see that ceremony a little bit later, but we have something a little bit different next because so many people were in Emancipation Hall instead of being in the rotunda this time. We're going to go to the visitor center underneath the plaza of the Capitol building, which is what we're looking at right now. Here we are. And I believe the president's going to speak some to the crowd. We'll see what's happening in just a few minutes.
How many speeches he's made in the last 48 hours?
Quite a few. I mean, I can see that JSIC, the Joint Committee on Congressional Inaugural Ceremonies, has come to the platform. It's a good thing that Fisher is wearing that bright green.
Yes, recognize.
Pick her out right away.
Look to the left of Senator Fisher, and you're going to see.
Oh, who's arriving now? They're coming down this grand staircase into this room called Emancipation Hall.
There is a statue of the first woman to become a member of Congress, Annette Rankin, born in Missoula, Montana. Her brother Wellington was her campaign manager.
Yep. She was elected in 1917, before women even had the right to vote nationwide. But they had the right to vote in Montana.
They did. Mm-hmm. She traveled to New Zealand.
Mm.
Her brother Wellington went to Harvard University.
I believe this house.
We should yield.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here as witnesses to President Trump's trip to the White House. Right now, and you can feel it around the country, we certainly felt it here in this together and roaring back again, and it begins today, as the president just told us. I know we'd all rather be gathered together on the National Mall with hundreds of thousands of our closest friends, is well overcome with our excitement for the future that we feel today. We have 4 years, the most consequential period in our nation's history. And as Speaker of the House, it is my great pleasure, my great honor, to introduce to you, lead us to this new golden age, the decisive winner of the Electoral College and the popular vote, 5th and the 47th, and the greatest president of our lifetimes, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. And was that a hell of a speech or what? That was, that was a good way to start it off. You know, I didn't know exactly what the president would put in that he wasn't going to hold back, and sir, you didn't hold back. That was a hell of 4 years, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, and I know I speak for the president and for all of us, thank you, thank you. We love you. We wouldn't be here without you, and we're going to make America great again together for the next 4 years. The last thing I'll say is, 5 minutes to wave goodbye to the Bidens. Thank you, move that thing indoors because it was a beautiful ceremony and it was cold as hell outside. So, sir, 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
No, he's right. I looked, I said, oh, look at this beautiful. We blew it, and then I went outside and we were freezing. You would have been very unhappy. The sun was very deceptive, I will tell you. It is cold out. And I'm sort of saying, that was so beautiful today. Maybe do it there every 4 years. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it's really good, but it gets a little cold around this time of the year, as some people have noticed. And a lot of times they suffer through it. There was no suffering in that room. It was perfect with the best acoustics I think I've ever heard in a room. This is not so bad either. But I just want to say, far more beautiful audience than I just spoke to. And I want to keep it off the record. I want to keep that off the record because I don't want to have all those big shots up there. I don't want to think you're more powerful and I love you. Now, we just had a great time. We just had a great day. This was amazing. When you think we took a journey, I mentioned in the speech, a lot of people said that was not a journey that was possible, and it was indeed possible. I didn't really know too much about what they were saying when they said that, but a lot of people felt it. And we hooked up with J.D. very early. I watched J.D. over time. I endorsed him in Ohio. He was a great senator and very, very smart. The only one smarter than him was his wife. That was I would have chosen her, but somehow the line of succession didn't work that way, right? But now she's great and he's great. This is a great, beautiful couple and unbelievable career. I just said to him, "You are very upwardly mobile," because he hasn't been doing it that long. But he picked it up so quickly. Remember, the first week was a little bit like the fake news was hitting him really hard. And it's a little tough, but after that, it was smooth sailing for him. He took on every meanest. I don't want to use the word corrupt because we're so let's wait till the corruption begins, because it will. But he took on some pretty mean people, and he handled it well. I want to also congratulate Mike Johnson for the job that he's doing. We gave him a majority of almost nothing, and then I said to make it tougher on him, let me take 2 or 3. I said he'll only have to suffer with that for about 3 months. How are they doing, by the way? Are they moving along? Totally uniform. I said, do you mind if I take this one, that one, and a couple of others? He didn't mind. He can handle it. No, he's a man that's liked by everybody. I've never met a man like this. You've got how many is it, 219 or 220 or something? 220. And of the 220, 219 really like him. I noticed he got 1 negative vote once about 2 weeks ago. But I think even 220 like him, if you want to know the truth. And that's very unusual. I know a lot of nice guys in Congress, and they have 35 people that hate him. So if you have 35 people that hate you, and you only have 1 or 2 or 3 votes, you'll have 5, I think. But that's going to be like, the good news is when we get to that 5 number, it's going to feel like a mess. You could be really nasty to him at least. So it's going to feel a wall and stopping. It feels so good to stop, but he's done a fantastic job. And Steve Scalise he's our hero because, I was with him. You talk about being shot. With him, he got some bad ones and a terrible wife, and she really loves him. You never know about that. I've been with other people they were doing poorly, and the wife is like looking at her watch. She can't get out of the hospital fast enough. How's he doing? Oh, I don't know. He's all right. That woman was a mess. She was crying and crying. No, they're going to take him. They're going to tell Steve when he finally woke up. It was a while, too. The doctor told me it was the most blood they've ever transfused in any patient. And here he is, the picture of strength, right? And he's been a great friend of mine. Right? With the family, because of the family. It worked out pretty much better than we even thought, right? And I did have a couple of things, to say that were extremely controversial. And between JD and Melania and anybody else, it's such a beautiful, unifying speech. Please, sir, don't say these things. I said, I'm telling you. They said, you're right. For this group of people, it's going to play great. You're the only ones I heard by not, but we had somebody said, sir, calls me sir when she's angry. I said, no, I'm only kidding. I better say I'm only kidding in the press up loud and clear. No, but she said, no, I think it would be terrible. It's such a nice speech. I think it's, it all depends on your delivery. How was the delivery? Was it good? But she said it's such a beautiful speech. You can't put things in there that you were going to put in. And I was going to talk about the J6 hostages. But you'll be happy because, it's action, not words that count. That's right. And you're going to see on the J6 hostages. And I was going to talk about the things that Joe did today with the pardons. Very, very guilty of very bad crimes, like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs, where they literally, what they did is they destroyed and deleted all the information, all of the hearings, practically not a thing left. They deleted all the information on Nancy Pelosi having turned down the offer of 10,000. You wouldn't have needed 10,000. You could have had 500, and it would have stopped. Because we had 1 million people that day, the people that were there. You don't see any photographs, but we have a lot of great photos. But you don't see those photographs. They don't put them in. They show them. But I was talking about that. I was going to talk about that. They said, please don't bring that up right now. You can bring it up tomorrow. I'll bring it up right now. This little time delay is good because reviews on the speech. Now watch. They'll take the speech and say, I didn't like it because he left there and he talked to people. But giving you a little more information than we gave us. But no. They pardoned a lot of people. Before we even get to today, they pardoned, 33 murderers, absolute murderers, the worst murderers in the United States. You have to be bad because they don't give it much. And he pardoned almost everybody having a death sentence. And if you went through the crimes that were committed, you wouldn't even believe them, the level of violence. The people that were killed, the innocence of people, that he pardoned them for whatever reason. He spared them, but they didn't spare the people that they killed. Who knows what happens in the future. It's one of the worst because a lot of times say you're going to be in for life, but then all of a sudden they get let out for good behavior and then they go on a rampage. It's one of those little things, right? But I was really going to talk about the level of, what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned. What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying. I looked at him remember years ago, he was actually on my side. One day, you know, when you don't want to kill people in war, turn against you. Liz Cheney hated the concept of not going to war with everybody. Let's kill everybody. Let's spend a lot of money on military equipment. You know, where her, and, but what she did was incredible. Think of it. They destroyed and deleted all of that information that went on for almost 2 years against Trump. And the reason they did, because it was all false. Like the person that said, I tried to strangle a Secret Service agent. That's one of the toughest human beings I think I've ever seen. I actually had a friend say, please don't change that, sir. You are the coolest sucker in history. She said, I put my hands on his neck because he wouldn't go to the Capitol. And I was rebuffed. The right is a massive weightlifter, probably stronger than me. Do you think he's stronger than me, honey? You know who I'm talking about. Possibly stronger than me. Slightly younger than me, like, I won't say how many years because I don't talk about that, but a lot of years. But I had a friend that said, why are you disputing? That's the coolest story I've ever heard. That I would attack a karate champion, get slightly rebuffed, and then throw my arms around a guy with a neck about this big. Even though there are bars, you know, that anyway. So I wanted to talk about that. But all of that stuff got deleted. And the reason it got deleted is they were all caught in lies. You know, Secret Service testified, and they said it didn't happen. Actually, the two guys were very embarrassed. They're suffering because their friends are saying, did Trump really do that to you? But they gained a whole new respect for me. But it was just make-believe stuff, and there were a lot of make-believe stories made up. So rather than suffer the wrath with Nancy Pelosi, I offered, she knows it. She admitted tape that her daughter made. She's a videographer or whatever you call her, which I'm glad she is. So she can't be in good stead with Nancy. But Nancy, she's leaving the Capitol. Said it was, and it was. She's in charge of security at the Capitol. But I offered them to 10,000 soldiers, even more. One time I said more, as many as you need. But you needed 400 or 500. If 4 or 5, you 10,000. That would be more than the number of people there by a lot. But we offered her 10,000. Think of it, 10,000 soldiers. J6 wouldn't be J6. There would be no J6. But she rebuffed them. She didn't like it. No, she didn't like it. Maybe she wanted that, but she's guilty as hell. And now we have to go through the process because they destroyed all evidence. They deleted everything. There's virtually nothing left. The other fake story and so many people came out on our side, and those people now would got to find them. There's nothing left. So that's a criminal offense. If that were a civil case, it would be a criminal offense. If that were a criminal offense. So I decided I'm not going to make this speech complicated. I'm going to make it a unifying speech. And then when they said we have a group of people that are serious Trump fans, this is the time to tell those stories. You know. But seriously, I'd like to, I think it was a tremendous success. I think we're very lucky we put it inside because it is really cold. Went to the helicopter out of respect. It's something that's taken place for a long time. I guess it's as old as helicopters. You used to get into a stagecoach, now you get into a helicopter. Times change. But it's pretty old custom. And it's a beautiful custom, actually. It's a beautiful custom. I wish we could have had a better relationship. I wish we could have had a better relationship between Republicans and Democrats. I was with Senator Schumer. I said, Chuck, I think it's time we all start getting along a little bit because, we literally never get a Democrat vote. They never get a Republican vote, almost. And although there is a bill coming up that we have a lot of Democrat votes, right? That's going to be a very beautiful bill. We're going to have a deciding, I would say, within a week or so, I think. It'll be a very good bill. You all know what I'm talking about. I just want to thank you all for being. You have been our fans from day one. All these people all over. You've been our. This has been there's never been anything like it. There's never been anything like it. This has been a movement like no movement ever in history for probably any country, let alone this country. You know, if somebody's running for president, and if they go out, announce they're going to Arizona, they're going to Nevada, they're going to someplace, if you have 200 or 300 people, that would be standard. Ronald Reagan would go out the last couple of days where people get a little excited, but even then you have a couple of thousand people. But if you're going to go someplace, any place, any one of the swing states, any one of the other states, I mean, how about the non-swing states? We won Alabama we won Tennessee by massive numbers. Wyoming, we won by numbers that are, nobody's ever seen numbers like that. And, you know, places like California, we did great, but when they send out like 38 million ballots, nobody knows where the hell they're sending them, and then they come pouring. You know, they passed a law in California that you work in an election bureau, and if you so much as ask for a voter ID, if you say, sir, ma'am, could I please look at your voter ID? They have the right to put you in jail. You're a criminal. The reason that happens, they want to cheat. So they had it where voter ID, but now if you even ask for it, this is seriously a bill that was just signed, passed in their legislature. And I think when we get things cleaned up and we get back to a little bit of normalcy, I'm going to ask the speaker to really get involved, because I think we would have, as you know, if you look at my numbers with Hispanic, we're at 56%, and we were winning. We won the Texas border that had never, as the governor said, he's doing a good job, the governor, by the way, of Texas, but as the governor said, it hasn't, oh, did I get lucky? Supposing I said, you know, he's not here, but the governor of Texas done a terrible job. Wow, look at you. You mean we couldn't get you up in the... Supposing I said, JD, the governor of Texas, he's not doing his job. You heard what I said? See, I didn't know you were there. I said he's doing a job, but now you're going to have a partner that's going to work with you, because you didn't have. Not only didn't he have a partner, right? We have a fence structure that we worked on, the governor worked on with me, and I didn't love it, to be honest with you. I wanted a nice precast concrete, you know, 40, 50 feet high, like a beautiful, could have been a T-shape, Y-shape. I love construction. I wanted that sucker to go up maybe 50, 60 feet. It would have looked beautiful, a nice Y shape. And they said, the problem is, sir, they climbed that like a rabbit. I said, what do you mean? No way. And they brought some of these guys out. They climbed it like... And the other thing is you hit it with acid and the thing will disintegrate. You know, they have things for concrete. So they needed very hardened steel, very special steel. And then they needed 7,000-pound concrete inside that steel, you know, inside that steel. And then they have a rebar that's the toughest steel made, very hard to cut. So this is why very little is cut. I mean, it's right. And then they put a anti-climb. I said, it's so unattractive. And I said, why would that? I believe it works. And I went to watch, gave a display. We had actually 2 sets of climbers. The guys that climb up walls with drugs on their back. I mean, they got like 60, 70 pounds of drug, and they go as fast as you can walk. They go bip, bip, bip. Or we have Mount Everest type climbers. And honestly, the drug guys were much better. I couldn't believe it. The drug guys, but it's true, the anti-climb panel, they couldn't get around it. You didn't have it. So sometimes you sacrifice beauty for efficiency. And we built this wall, and we built over 500 miles of wall. That's why we had such good numbers. It was the famous chart that came down on my right, Governor. Had I not looked over there, I'm not speaking right now. You might be speaking here. You want to know the true? You, JD, have got a lot of great people in this party. The best numbers we've ever had. But I bought, you know what happens is when you fill it up, it's like water. You fill it up. Now we have 571 miles of water. And they would always say, you know, so there'd be like a piece of plywood sitting there for 60 years, or a 2x4 ground and rotting. Because, you know, and they say, you didn't build a new wall. Here we're building 50 feet up in the air and 30, 50-foot sections, all steel, all concrete, all everything. And all, by the way, they don't even want me to say this, but what the hell doesn't take that for all of the equipment? We put wires in everything so they can ease some equipment. And if there's a doubt, we have a wire. Whenever we just look, you just find the wires all over the place up top, so we can just hook it up. We don't have to have wires on the outside, which wouldn't do too well, right? So anyway, so we built an extra miles of wall, and the government tried to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it to him. He wanted to put it up himself. Could have been done in 3 to 4 weeks miles, because when you do it now, they just keep going further out, getting around. So we did an extra 200 miles, and it was all bought, and they announced that they're not going to put it up. And that's when I realized they wanted to realize that people are going to come pouring through the wall like nobody's ever seen before. But you've seen it. A lot of you are here, made it my #1 issue. They all said inflation was #1 issue. I said I disagree. I think people coming into our country from prisons and from mental institutions issue for the people that I know. #1, I talked about inflation too, but you know, how many times can you say that an apple didn't cost? I'd say it, and I'd hit it hard. We don't want criminals coming into our country. We don't want the jails of every country in the world virtually being deposited into the United States, and that man had to suffer with it. And he did an unbelievable job. I'll tell you, he was a very popular governor, but now he's like an unbeatable governor because of your border policies. He was fantastic. And he really was. So. Governor Abbott he's a great man, great leader. And, but it did make him more, did you do it? You didn't do that for politics. You did it because you wanted to do the right thing. But I'm sure it'll work for politics too. It's self-preservation. The people are demanding it. The people of Texas are demanding it. The people are demanding it all over. So anyway, so we built it, and they wouldn't let us use it. They wouldn't let the governor use it. And other governors, they wouldn't let him use it. The leader of the pack, and did a great job. And then we heard about a month ago that not only wouldn't they let us use it, they were selling it, they were going to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, cents on the dollar then, but today it would cost more than twice as much to build. We bought it like 6 years ago, and it was just sitting on the ground, and that does not do well for the whole thing. But it was just sitting on the, I heard about it, and I called the governor, I called a lot of people, your Attorney General, and here's the story. They were going to buy it, and these are great business people. They were going to buy it for 5 cents, and they were calling us up. We'll sell it to you for 200 cents on it. In other words, it will cost you twice as much, so it's 200 cents on the dollar. I said, can somebody explain that to a judge? I mean, how corrupt is that? You'd think they'd say, maybe we'll sell it to you for 20 cents, 30 cents, but not 200 cents. So they were going to buy something for 5 cents, and they were going to sell it to us for a fortune. They were going to make it would be, they'd have it down in Fortune magazine, they'd put it of the deal of the year, okay? You buy something like that. But it was so corrupt and so horrible. And when we told that to the administration, they didn't keep going forward. They couldn't care less. And they kept going forward. They knew that they were trying to sell it back to us. They would have sold it back to us. You would have ended up buying it. You would have paid probably 50, 60 cents, who knows. But they were going to use it for scrap metal, but then they made a much better deal. They could just buy it and sell it to us for 15, 20 times what they paid. 20 times, think of it, like 20 times what they paid. And we wouldn't let it happen. And the governor with his attorney general, Ken Paxton. They made a fantastic, they're a good lawyer. He's pushed around pretty good by people, right? I said, you got a great attorney general. They should leave him alone. He was with me. But Ken and the governor went to court, and a judge actually became incensed and actually called for an investigation. How could a thing like this happen? So he stopped it, so we'll wait to put that wall up. And now that you have a new president, that wall will go up. The governor will complain, sir. This is Greg Abbott, sir. Please, going up too fast. Please don't do that. You know the story about winning? No, we're going to win too much. We're winning too much. Please stop. People always love that wall. We'll do this with the wall. Governor Abbott called us. We can't take it. We just can't take it. No, I think you'll be very happy if the wall goes up too fast, right? But we'll get that dude and we'll work with you on that. But it was a great decision by a great Texas judge, right? And it was beautiful to watch. You see stuff that track. I mean, they were literally loadable. Honestly, it was terrible. And he wouldn't take it. So I'm so glad I mentioned that they have a really good governor in Texas. And I swear, I didn't know he was here. I swear to you, I was like a setup. I didn't know you would end. Did I get lucky? I did the right thing. Because there have been moments when I wasn't so happy with him, you know? Not too many, I can tell you that. So anyway, it's good to see you too, Governor. Great. But I just want to thank everybody. You've been incredible. I recognize so many of you. It's so crazy. But this has been a journey. This was a journey that started in 2015, probably started 20 years before that. People used to say, you're going to run for president? You're going to run? And I always said, no, I don't want. And then one day I said, let's give it a shot. And what I talked about then was the border, too. I think it probably was the number one issue for me. 2015, 2016, I talked about the border. And now I talked about the border, but this border is much worse. We fixed the border. It was totally fixed. There was nothing to talk about. 2020, by the way, that election was totally rigged, but it was a rigged election. You know the only thing good about it? It showed how bad they are, showed how incompetent, and frankly, historically, this is a much bigger event. If that would have gone like it should have. About it is some bad things happen, like a lot of people in our country that wouldn't be in our country right now. So, you know, that's the bad part. But I will say that it started in 2015, and right from the beginning, we went to the top. Day one, they announced Trump, and Trump went to number one and stayed there for the whole primary. And then we took on Hillary. She didn't look too happy today. We took on Hillary, a very nice person. But we took on Hillary, and we defeated Hillary, and then we did much better the second time in 2020. You know, we got millions more votes. We got millions, like 10, 12 million more votes than we did the first time. No president has ever gotten that many more votes. I got like 9 million more than anybody else had ever gotten. And they said we lost. And because of that, I said to Melania, what do you think? And she said, you want to do this again? And had we lost, and had I thought we lost, I wouldn't do it again, because that's like the ultimate. But I knew how well we did, and this time we made it too big to rig. It was so big. They tried like but they tried to do it, and around 9:02 they gave up. Last time they did bad things. At this time they just said, Speaker in Washington. They had placards. They were all, it'd be closer. A gentleman asked me, a very respected gentleman asked me yesterday, how come the polls were so wrong? They showed you winning, but not in a landslide. I said, because people that are true Trumpers are so angry at the whole polling system and that they don't want to talk to anybody. So when you call somebody from Trump, who are you voting for? They say, it's none of your business. I'm not. And that was probably 4 they called. So they discarded that one. They didn't show that. And then when the election happened, you know, the vote came and it was much different, much higher than we're going to win, but they thought they really thought, they couldn't believe the one man said, I mean, it was so much higher. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of votes, which is hard for a Republican. I'll tell you who came through. The unions came through. The auto workers were great. The Teamsters were great. The firemen were great. I think almost every union was great. The only one that weren't great, although Sean was great, and the Teamsters, the head of the Teamsters was fantastic.
Anyway, y'all, I am getting bored, so I will be ending stream. Part 3 special will be at 2 p.m. See all of you. No stream, no game. Peace out. See you next stream, and always remember, only show vibes. And do well in Trump's victory. Happy MLK to you and your family.